Hello, everyone. My name is Vernice, and this is my podcast, Speak Up. For those of you that don't know, the mission statement for this podcast is we use our voices to motivate people to overcome life's challenges through self-love and respect. So this is a place for self-love and respect. Shout out to my new listeners out there. I hope you guys enjoy the show. I am so excited for tonight's episode. Back. I know it's been a minute. Welcome to February. It's a new month, and I'm looking forward to tonight's episode. Just debunking this conversation and everything. You guys give it up for television journalist Miyoshi Price. Hey, girl.
Hey, girl. How are you? Thank you so much for having me. I looked at your intro and I'm like, oh my gosh, it is so you.
Yeah.
It's so you. I loved it. I freaking love it.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you on here. Let me do your little welcome real quick. How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. Thank God we're in February because January was Januarying and I was ready for it to be over.
January is my birthday month, so it's at the end though. So it's like, I feel like once my birthday hit and we just dove into February, I'm like, okay.
Moving into a new era. Now it is 2025.
And big prayers out to people who are affected by the fires. And oh my goodness, there's just been a lot going on in LA, but we holding strong out here.
Yeah, it's so interesting when I was thinking about that because as a news reporter, you have all of the headlines, you're reading everything, you're getting all these notifications, and it was just like destruction, tragedy after tragedy, and then the fires, and then you have friends or families that are affected and you're trying to be present for that and also trying to be present for the people that are listening and hoping that you give them the information of what's going on. And then you have plane crashes. It just was so much. It's so heavy. And I think just the stuff that you do is what helps people like recenter. So I'm so happy that you reached out to me during that time because as a journalist, we need some centering sometimes. We have to be, kind of that person to share the information and be able to, do it with poise and be factual and not just cry on TV when you really want to. Because these things are not only affecting people that we're talking to, it is also affecting us. We have families, we have friends, we have to have those calls and conversations as well. And so I appreciate you having me on this.
No, and I'm so happy I have you on. Like, you are so great at what you do, and the way you stand firm and you speak life into people as well on your platform, like you said, and being factual at the same time. So your work is definitely appreciated.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward for today. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am Miyoshi Price. So how y'all doing? I am a news reporter for Fox 4 and I am a journalist, a journalist first, but I tell people before you see me as the news lady or that lady that's on the news, I'm a woman of integrity first. I'm a woman of faith. I'm a woman of love. I'm a woman of honesty. I'm a woman of just being authentically me. And I'm a woman of my community. I'm from South Central Los Angeles. I attended Crenshaw High School. I graduated, earned my high school diploma, and then went on and earned my degree at UC Santa Barbara. And when I graduated, I wanted to make money, right? So I got into marketing and tech because that's where I saw technology going. It's growing and money's there. So I got into that, did that for almost 9 years. I was with a company called Cold Open who had accounts with Sony, Disney, YouTube. I did that for a while. And then I went on to the NFL, worked with the graphics and engineer team, did that for a while. So like a lot of my background was software, tech, asset management, graphics, and things like that. But one thing I really loved was my community. And so I always had a foot in my community, a hand in my community, just trying to see how I could help. Being a member of an organization that's called It's Bigger Than Us, being a vice president of a female-led nonprofit called Legacy Ladies, where we have a leadership program called Schoolhouse to the White House Leadership Academy. And I did that because I was a part of that academy when I was in Crenshaw. I was at Crenshaw High School, and I wanted to do what those women did for me for the next generation. And so that is my baby. I love those girls from Crenshaw, Washington, Dorsey, Middle College High, Washington Prep. Those girls want a future. Those girls work hard for a future. I can see myself in them, and I can see that they want to grow, and I want to be able to bring that network to them. So if anybody wants to learn more, please, hit me up, because we're sending those girls to college with scholarships every year, and we've been doing it for 20 years. So that's who I am, and that's what I do, and that's what I love. And I don't sign up for nothing that I don't like. I don't do that. It's part of my self-care.
You're like, I'm gonna do what I need to do. As you see, y'all, I am interviewing a phenomenal woman of many hats. So, I'm so excited to pick your brain some more. So, what's your favorite thing about what you do?
Being able to talk to people. I think being a journalist is so precious, because you are literally outside. When they be like, we outside, we're literally outside. We're talking to people. We're talking about situations that impact folks. We're asking the questions that maybe they're afraid to ask to people that control the things that happen in their everyday life. Sometimes I was just talking to this older woman who said, we need affordable housing for seniors. And I've been working on this for so long. How do I do that? Right? You have a whole generation of people that have been working for 30, 40 years, and then they're retired. And then we just go, thank you, and move on. And it's like, no, this person may be kicked out of their home. That's their story. Their story is they worked for 30 years. They've been living in their home, and they're about to lose it because of X, Y, Z. But they're trying everything that they can and that they know how to do, but they're not getting answers. And so I asked them, well, what do you want to know? What is your problem? You're looking for a solution? Okay, let me go find the people that are going to give me the information. So not only am I going to provide that for you, I'm providing it for thousands of seniors that are dealing with this issue. Same thing with infrastructure, same thing with bad management, at different homes and stuff like that, say apartment complexes. You just never know. Things affect millions, thousands of people a day. And those journalists that you see, myself, we are literally outside, like literally. So,
and not just for show. I love that. And you kind of already touched up on it, but if you want to add on more, tell us about your journey in philanthropy. I can now say this word, philanthropy.
Philanthropy. Oh, yes. Okay. So my biggest project is with Legacy Ladies. I'm going to talk about those women. It's educated, professional, integral, just honest, just passionate women. These women are all about resource connecting. They're all about networking. And they're not only just saying, oh, go out there and meet people. People tell you to go and network all the time. Those women taught us how to network and make our network work for our future projects or future things that we want to get into. And so when I saw the women walk around Crenshaw High School, I was like, I want to be with them. Not everyone gets the access, right? They always say, oh, you went to Crenshaw High School, you don't have the resources. That is a false statement. We had so many people that walked those hallways that were ready to help us progress in life. And those women were for me. And so I went through that whole program. I received the scholarship. I had the network, because they were like, look, if you get the network, now turn it into something. So I interned for people that I met through that program. And then when I went off to college, I volunteered. I was like, I don't want to lose connection. So I volunteered. And I would go to different awards ceremonies to help, talk to the girls, be a guest speaker. And then when I graduated, I was like, I want to do more. I want to do more. I want to be on the other side of bringing my network to the next generation. And so what we do, we have weekly workshops. And these weekly workshops, pretty much you say, hey, I have a dentist, I have a yoga instructor, an entrepreneur, I have a fashion designer, I have someone that works with technology and engineering. And that means so many things, right? Each week, the girls are learning from the people that work in that field and also doing projects. And we do that for 5 high schools. Like I said before, Crenshaw, Dorsey, Washington, Middle College, and then King Drew. So all of these girls are coming together as well. People always say, women don't know how to get along. That taught us how to build sisterhood. We're working together on these projects. We're going to, the state capitol. We're going to judges' chambers to talk to judges, and they're having to work together to like have these conversations. And we want them to be able to advocate for themselves. Because one thing that I can say about what I do now, some people are so afraid to share what's impacting them, but they'll go through the fire. They'll burn and burn and burn, and they will be like, nope, I don't want to say anything. But you're drowning this entire time. And so what we wanted to make sure is that they were their own life jacket. We wanted to make sure that they were able to save themselves and be an advocate for themselves. And that's what we've been doing, like I said, for 20 years. Those women that did it for me, and I'm doing it for the next generation. And I'm hoping that it's a cycle that they continue to do it. But after that program, you go through it from 10th through 12th grade, you graduate, you receive a scholarship. We take our seniors on a trip. Some of our seniors have never been out of the state. Some of our seniors have never been into a courtroom in a positive way. Maybe they went for a family member. Who knows? But we're taking away that fear and that idea that when you sit at the table, you have something to add to it. And if the table is not for you, then you create your own.
Oof. That's the line right there.
And that's just what it is.
Yes. There we go. Okay. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Okay. And, I know you touched up again on organization. So I know the fires just happened. There's a lot of stuff going on. What are some good orgs that people can donate to? Any that you have? It might could be for fires or anything in general. What are some that just scratch your mind to spread awareness?
One thing that I really love about our community is that everyone seems to have a heart to give back. It's bigger than us. It's something that I've worked with. Your girl, Nico.
Yeah,
with Education is Key. You know what I'm saying? Your girl, Nico, with Education is Key is a go-to. Roxy, that's my girl with the Source LA. She posts every single day about different resources, different things that are impacting our people every single day. I mean, this woman is a trailblazer. I honor that woman. And she's there to help people because she also went through the fire and came out a diamond on the other side. So I love my folks because I have friends that have a heart to give. But I can say so much more. I mean, South LA Cafe, those are my folks. Mr. Joe and his wife are incredible. Who else can I say? Oh my gosh. You hit me with this one on the spot.
I know. Look,
I'm just going to send you some things too, because we kind of follow the same people that have been doing a lot of this work. But the Source LA, I feel like between them and It's Bigger Than Us, they are connecting our community to bigger corporations, bigger nonprofits that really do the work. Whatever your issue is, whether it's the January issue or just life, just what you deal with every single day. So yeah, those two I definitely have to shout out. And my girl, like I said, your girl Nico. That's my dog.
Locked in. I love it. Shout out. Thank you for sharing. So before we get into the episode, one last question I want to ask. On your website, you have the quote, "Create your own story, define your own success." So what does that mean to you?
Oh, I love it. When I thought about this, I was like, why are we always comparing ourselves to other people's story? Why are we always thinking about what the other person is doing and why can't I be there? And it's like, don't worry about that. Quiet the noise. Start to draft and figure out what it is that you want. What will it take for you to get there? How much do you want it? Because don't get me wrong, you could be passionate about something, great at something, but there will be obstacle, right? There will be something that try to veer you off a little bit. But at the same time, it's like, it's your story. And your success may not equate to what I think my success is. So never sit back and create your story to mimic mine, because you can't be me. I'm sorry. I'm a part of greatness and you're a part of greatness, but our greatness are two different things.
And they could shine at the same time.
It could shine at the same time. God orchestrated all of that. He wanted to make sure that we all had our own print on this world. And so when I'm telling people create your own story, is be true to yourself. Authentically sit down and figure out what it is you want in life, and then find out how to get it. And whatever that is, I'm going to say you're successful because you did what you said you wanted to do for your life. Not because you want to do what I do, but because you want to do what you do and you're doing it. So that's what it means to me. And I think me going from graphics and tech and stuff like that into what I am doing now, I'm definitely creating my own story and I'm successful. But that's, you know, how did Tiffany Haddish say, how you doing, Tiffany Haddish? I'm successful.
Like, I'm in my story, in my skin.
At every level, too.
Yes.
At every level. Don't think about when you're at the mountaintop. Think about when you're right there at the bottom and you're just starting. You started. You're successful. You're in the middle. You're successful because you were once at the bottom. You got pushed back a couple times because things are hard, but you're successful because you're going to sit back and you're going to say, you know what? How can I do this better? And you will continue to elevate. And eventually you'll get to the mountaintop. And when you're at the mountaintop, you do it all over again. That's how you stay active in your life.
That was that's a great way to start the episode, y'all. But let's get into tonight's episode. So tonight's episode is titled Define Solitude. So we're going to be talking about the importance of solitude, valuing your own company, and things like that. So let's get into the Ask Up question of the evening. Tonight's Ask Up question of the day is, and if you're out there listening, please comment and I'll answer first and I'll let Miyoshi answer next. So tonight's Ask Up question of the day is, what is your favorite thing about solitude? So me personally, I would say my favorite thing about solitude is literally being able to tap in with myself. When you guys, think about it, when you guys call people for advice, or you have chaos around you or things going on, you're not really able to tap in with you and figure out what you really want out of a situation, because think about it, someone's opinion might alter what you really feel and what you're thinking. But honestly, I like to take time to myself where I just like silence everybody but me and God. Literally, you can't silence God, but it's just me and God. And I can just figure out how I'm really feeling and what solutions it is I need to take to get to where I'm trying to go. Because sometimes the solutions are within. And I think there's nothing wrong with going to people for help. We have a community, we have a village. But sometimes some of those answers are deep within. And I like to just pause all that out and just figure it out. So that's my favorite thing personally about solitude. But what about you? What is your favorite thing about solitude?
I love that you talked about God, because God is the head of my life first. And even when I'm in solitude, I know that I'm not alone. But solitude is a state or situation of being alone, right? But when you already know that you have a higher power, or you have a source to tap into, you always know that you're safe.
Yes.
And solitude for me is just being able to listen to yourself. Being able to find out new things about yourself, because you're going through. And it sounds crazy because when I'm in my solitude, I'm talking to myself, like out loud. It's a little crazy.
I talk to myself.
But you hear yourself, right? You hear yourself, and then you're like, you know what? I like that. Okay, I don't like that. I love when I'm in my solitude and I can start to evaluate. How am I doing? Checking in spiritually, emotionally, physically. Do my limbs work? How does my body feel? How does my mind feel? It's a point of checking in. You go to the doctor, you want a little checkup, you got to do that for yourself too. So I love that idea of being able to ask, am I okay? How am I feeling? And when you ask, it's just like when you walk by, you say, hi, how you doing? And you keep moving. Why did you ask the question? So when you're in solitude and you ask yourself, are you okay? You need to be able to say, mind, body, soul, emotional, physical, spiritual. So I love that aspect of solitude, being able to check in on myself.
Oh, beautiful answer. I love how this episode is starting off. And I must say too, so we're going to talk about, like I said, the importance of enjoying your own company and things like that. So it's weird. Before this episode, I was looking up the definition of solitude. All these different answers came up, but some synonyms that came up was the word loneliness and stuff like that. And I'm like, we debunk that myth that solitude means loneliness. And it said too, we view it's really about perspective. Because yeah, you can look at solitude as I'm alone, or I'm alone or I'm lonely. Because there's both ways
Exactly.
to it, right? But when you debunk it deeper, I think that's the beauty of learning to, like loving yourself, getting to know yourself, and being comfortable with your own companies. I feel like when you do those things, it won't seem lonely. But when
Yeah.
you're, being mean to yourself, you're seeing it as a punishment, it's going to be this lonely experience. You're going to feel like you're being punished or being hurt. So I found that very interesting. And, I want to say this too, don't underestimate the power of solitude. There's so much I've accomplished with solitude, actually. It fuels productivity. It fuels your creative side. All those things are in because you're tapping inward. And I think those are the things that solitude has helped me with personally.
And I love that you talked about the differences between alone and loneliness, because it goes back to, like I said, if you choose to be in your solitude and know that once you step out of your solitude that you're going to win, then you're looking at it differently. You're like, I'm not alone. It's me. I'm the special product here. For me, like I said, it's me and God always, right? But people that don't have that, do you love yourself? Do you like yourself? And here's the thing. If you don't, you probably need to be in solitude a little more often to find out, what do you like about yourself? Maybe you need to do little activities by yourself. Don't just be in a dark room. Listen, when people get broken up with, or you break up and they go into a dark room, they put the covers on, and then they sit there and they cry for days. Don't get me wrong. Let it out. Do what you got to do. I give myself 24 hours though. Let it out, right? But if you stay in that dark place, how are you going to see the light? So you have to be able to say, you know what? I'm in my moment of solitude, but I'm active in that moment. I'm not just sitting there shelled up, hoping and praying something is just going to change without being active. Every moment of solitude, there needs to be action. And that could just mean journaling. That could mean reading. That can mean going for a walk. That can mean doing a little bicycling. When I'm in solitude, because nobody's messing with me but the coach, it's Pilates. I'm in there, I'm on that reformer, I'm just sitting there breathing.
You're good.
Breathing. You know what I'm saying? That's me being active in my solitude to me. So it's just, you got to figure out what works for you when you are in that moment of solitude. But don't put yourself in a dark space, because when you're in a dark space, it is hard to see the light.
It really is. And I want to, going off a dark space, you cannot be in solitude, right? And still be in a dark space, being in company of others, right? So one of the beautiful things about solitude that I like is too, you learn how you want to be treated. I feel like when you're in solitude, like you said, you're being active, you're being nice to yourself, you're treating yourself good, you're going to have less tolerance for someone coming in your life, bringing that chaos. Like I've been at peace with myself for so long. It's like if certain things come in, I'm like, ooh. But there was a time where I was afraid to be alone and things like that. And I was just inviting anything or I didn't mind because it was comfortable for me. So I think that's another beautiful thing about solitude that makes it so powerful, because like you said, you're able to stand alone. If people walk out your life, you're not going to trip as much because you're like, okay, because you know your worth and you know what to stand on. So I love everything that you said that goes with that part of the topic. But I have a question for you. You always have the most stunning outfits. What's a piece of advice you would give to a young woman who is stepping out of her shell and working on her confidence?
Ooh, this is crazy. So you talk about fashion now. If you met me 15 years ago, I was in white t-shirt, dingy jeans, sneakers every single day. Hair was crazy. Thank God I was smart. Like literally, thank God I was smart, because you have to show up how you want to be treated. But I think once I opened my mouth, they were like, okay, this girl's smart. She just needed a little help. Like she just needed a little help. But thank you for the compliment, because I think every day that I get dressed, I feel a little bit better. Even when it's a dark day or something isn't going right, I put on clothes and I feel good. So if you're working on your confidence, fashion was one thing for me. It was just looking good, being put together. But confidence is such an internal job that what you put on the external is only the surface. You got to work on yourself within. I had to learn how to look at myself in the mirror. I'll be honest. Some of that started to come back today because I have a zit in the middle of my face, right? Confidence level was so low back in the day. You couldn't tell because like I said, I was smart and I was like, I got to make this shake. I got to make the room understand that I have something to add. But deep down inside, I was so insecure about my acne, right? And so I was just like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Like, how can I fix this? I'm going through puberty. All the girls are still having, perfect skin, like all this stuff. I had to be able to look at myself in the mirror and say, this too shall pass. And I had to believe it. I was like, this is momentarily. Like, it's momentarily. I'm only going to go through this for a little bit. And at the end of the day, I'm going to get over it. But I still have to produce while I'm in this moment. And I thought, if I continue to produce, I can see my strengths, I can see my weaknesses, and then I work on those things, right? But to a young woman, I want to tell young people, don't worry so much about that surface level. Do things to get your inner level together so that you are happy with your inside. And when your inside is good, eating well, drinking water, putting in a little bit of exercise, working on your craft, being confident in your craft. Can't nobody tell you, you don't know what you're doing because you studying, you researching, you out here. Don't get me wrong, you don't know everything, but you know that you can do X, Y, Z, right? You know that when you put your print on it, it's going to be powerful. So I tell people to work on the inside first, work on your skills. And as you see people, because I had acne all over my face, but people wanted to work with me. And I was like, dang, okay, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And then, as you know, I got older, I got a little more money to go to the dermatologist and all these things. And for a long time, I didn't have acne. It was great. And girl, I'm back in Florida, and the humidity mixed with makeup and all that. But my inside is so strong. I know what I bring to the table. It's okay. I'm going to show up for Speak Up today because I know something is going to come out of this because God made me just how he wanted me to be. And I'm working on being greater and greater and greater every single day. So when my confidence is low, I just look back at my resume. I see what I've been through and I see how I've come out on the other side.
Come on.
So that's what I would tell young people.
Thank you for sharing. That was beautiful. Like, it inspired me too. I love it. You guys, it is now time for the tweet up segment. Y'all know I like to be on Twitter, X, whatever y'all want to call it. Something that I tweeted this week that goes with tonight's episode is solitude isn't a punishment. Sometimes it is what we need. And I say that because, like I said, firm believer of God, I believe sometimes God isolates us so we can get right. And, I think sometimes, I don't know if you guys ever had chapters where you felt like everyone had their back to you or people were leaving your life. You were falling out with people, like, people just wasn't in alignment with you anymore, the goals or things you were trying to do. And, you're like questioning, like, oh my goodness, I'm alone right now. I don't understand. Or I've been craving that alone time. I used to see it as a punishment. Now I'm like, no, there's something that needs to get right. Something I need to work on, or there's an alignment, like the alignment is changing. And things like that that's putting me where I'm supposed to be. So you guys, I just want to say that sometimes solitude isn't a punishment. So I want that to sink into everyone. And sometimes we're forced into solitude so we can work on our discipline. And honestly, this is a theme for me right now. I would say, if I could be honest with you guys on here. Like I said, I just had a birthday last month, and I've been reflecting on a lot of things, and I'm like, okay, it's time for a nice discipline season. So here we are. And there's nothing wrong with, don't be afraid of the solitude that comes with you being disciplined, if that makes sense. So what's an important lesson that solitude has taught you so far?
A lesson that solitude has taught me. So I had to go into a place of solitude when I moved across the country from California to Florida. That's on one end of the country to the whole other end of the country, right? And during that transition, people that were really close to me, I no longer had them in my life, right? And when I moved, it was like, oh man, I'm moving to another place without people that I thought I would have in my life until I was old and gray. And during that time, I was just like, I got to learn something for this. I got to learn something from this. And when you're in a new space, you by yourself. It just is what it is. I didn't move where family is, I'm in Fort Myers. I'm in Southwest Florida. I didn't know anyone. And when in that moment, I was like, okay, I'm feeling weak right now. And I had to feel better about myself. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to do what I got to do to be in my career. I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to get a therapist because I can't do this by myself. So I got a therapist, and I learned that I can't lean on folks for my happiness. I got to have it myself. And when people see me, they're like, Miyoshi's always smiling. She's happy, which I have a great life. I've been through a lot. College with homelessness that people don't really know happened, but it did. But I still showed up in my life, because if I don't show up, then I'm going to stay there. You know what I'm saying? And then when I showed up, people saw me, and then resources. That's the miracle of God. Resources start coming my way, things that I needed. Church family calling me just to check in. You okay? And I'm just like, yeah, I'm good. So what I learned is to be able to tell people, you know what? I'm not good.
Yeah.
I'm not okay. I'm really sad right now. I'm hurting. And I need help. I can't do this by myself. And because fast forward, because I made it over that, but fast forward, I'm in a new place, a new state with new rules and regulations. Y'all know I'm in Florida, right? And I was like, I can't do this by myself. That's what I learned, is to be okay with saying, I can't do this by myself and I need help. And I started going to therapy, and I was talking things out. I learned things that I did right in some of those relationships, those friendships. And I found out some things that I did wrong in that relationship and friendship, right? And once I learned that, my solitude got even stronger, because I was able to learn something during that season. And one thing I'll tell y'all is, when you have a moment of imposter syndrome, don't worry too much, because I started to see myself so happy. Like, Bernice, I am the happiest I've been in so long. I am so thankful to God for the life that I get to live. I've been through some stuff, and I'm like, God, I didn't know that I was going to make it through, but I just held on and I kept showing up. And now I'm here, and I love my life. I love my life so much. And those moments of solitude were the moments that I took seriously, so that I wouldn't have to repeat. And so that was my biggest thing. If you need help, ask for help. And it's okay.
Yes. And I love how through the chapter of solitude, you took care of yourself, and you see how you're able to hear yourself and know, okay, I'm not okay. Like, I feel like, was it last year? I think last year, this year was the first time I ever admitted that out loud. Like, I'm not okay, and was able to, like, it's okay to not be okay. And I think, like you said, especially with, like, I've been through a lot at a young age too, going through a lot. We're used to just having programmed to be strong all the time, or like, you can't show that weakness, and you have to keep going. And it's like, you get to a point where you're like, I think we're growing into our womanhood, who we're supposed to be, and knowing that it's not a luxury to admit you're okay. Like, getting out that stigma, like, oh, I have to be in a certain luxurious feeling to be able to admit I'm not okay. So Thank you for sharing that. Like, I know you're inspiring somebody with that story. You guys, it is now time for the Life Up segment. So the Life Up segment is when I take the topic and I relate it to an issue or something in today's world. So tonight's Life Up is, speaking of solitude, is the stigma behind solo dates, people being afraid of their own solitude, and the constant need for outside validation before making a decision. I'm gonna be real. I love taking myself out. I do not care. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take myself where I want to go and just have a good time and vibe. And like, I notice when I go out by myself, people are like looking at me, and things like that. I'm like, I'm just having the time of my life. And actually, I meet the most people when I go out by myself. Like,
Yes.
get the most free drinks, and it's just fun. Like, it's just nice, and you're enjoying yourself. And you're doing those things that you want to do. And I feel like so many times we're like, oh, I want to go here, but no one will go with me, or I don't think. If you really interested in them, just take yourself and go. Like, why are we letting people stop us from doing the things we want to do?
Because a lot of times people are afraid of those stairs. People are afraid to be alone. People are afraid for people to say, why are you here by yourself? Like,
vibe.
because I really wanted these lobster mashed potatoes with the butter and a nice steak. Like, that's why I'm here. But like you said, to point out, you meet the most people, because when you're by yourself, it's easier to just, hey, how are you doing today? Like, oh, I see you picked the whatever you're drinking. Oh, I'll join you. Right? Is it okay if I can join you? I've had people do that time and time again. Granted, we're beautiful women, right? So they want to come up and they want to spit game, and that's fine. But some of those conversations turned into a couple of like dollars of projects. Like,
real.
they were like, oh man, I was hitting on her, but she actually is talking about brand deals that she's doing, and I need, and she can, and you just never know. Or I've been at restaurants by myself. Girls literally come up and be like, yo, like, how do you sit at the bar by yourself? Like, what's wrong? They think something wrong with me. What's wrong, sis?
Or they actually like, I want to get that confidence to do that, and you help them.
and they will sit down, and while they're waiting on their table, we're talking about why I feel comfortable having solo dates.
You're inspiring them with that. Yep.
and I'm just like, girl, trust me, do it by yourself. Like, do it. Take a walk. Start with a walk. Like, don't go to a dinner if you already know you're scared, because yes, people are gonna look at you. It is what it is. But I think that it's the best thing that you could do, especially if you want to meet people, whether it's romantically, friendship, or anything. It just opens the door to, okay, they don't have anybody with them. I'm going to ask, see what she says, see what he says, and then go about your business. But it's just a moment to enjoy the things that you wanted to do in the first place.
Yeah. Look, I ain't arguing with you. I feel that. So, I always say, how do we fix this? So, yeah, take yourself out, single or not. And let's take that stigma out. You don't have to be single to take yourself out. Like, I'm single right now, but even if I get married or have a boyfriend, I want to still be able to go, do my little thing, want my man to do what he want to do as well. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And also, too, the other part of the life was the constant need for outside validation before making a decision. In the day, whatever decision you make, you have to live with that. That's affecting your future. So you have to tap in with yourself to see if it's okay to get opinions and advice from people, but what do you want to do?
What do you?
Are you equipped? Are you ready for the work that it will take with that particular decision? So, question, what's your favorite solo date, to do for yourself?
Girl, I'm a big bag. I like to eat.
Yep,
like, I love going to the bar. And it's probably bad because I know all the bartenders. I don't really drink like that. I'll get a ginger beer just to like have some, and I'm like, put it in a martini glass. Like, I want it to look cute. You know what I'm saying? Like, do that. But I love going out to eat. I love walking on the beach. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I really enjoy surfing. You ain't surfing with a couple people on the surfboard. You literally, it's you and the wave, you know what I'm saying? So that was something that I got into during COVID, because you couldn't be around people. And I was like, this is so peaceful. Scary, because you will get wiped out multiple times. You'll feel like you're dying. You'll feel like you're dying. But those are a few things that I really like doing by myself. But I take myself on a date all the time. My homegirls be like, I don't know how you do it. I'm like, just do it. Trust me. Get dressed.
Cute too.
Cute. Be stepping. Because somebody just might just say, your outfit is amazing. And that starts the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just feel good because like, oh, like I was here. I wanted my homegirl to come. She didn't want to go. And now you have somebody there.
Mm-hmm.
And you ain't got to worry. You ain't never got to talk to that person again ever if you don't want to.
Mm-hmm. That was some great advice. I know we just made somebody want to try out a solo date. So yeah, we recommend it, y'all. Mm-hmm. It is now time for the drink up segment.
She said drink up. Wait a minute.
Drink some water. Woo! If you're out there listening, please drink some water. And I have a drink up water fact for tonight. So tonight's drink up water fact is one of the most significant benefits of drinking water for your voice is the ability to reduce vocal strain and prevent vocal damage. When your vocal cords are hydrated, they are less prone to inflammation and injury, even during intense or prolonged use. So this is according to Well Said Toronto Speech Therapy. So, you know, I know you're a journalist. I had to bring up something that had to do with our voice. And me as a podcast host, same thing. So drink your water, keep your voice rejuvenated. I know it's getting, it's raining right now. Still drink your water, y'all. It's very important. So back into the episode. So yeah, I know, we touched up on the fires and the stories and things like that earlier. So, that's an example. So how do you take care of your mental health while listening to different types of stories with journalism? So I know you're hearing all kinds of different things. And like you say, your phone's always going off. How do you kind of still stay grounded with yourself during that?
Oh my gosh, it's hard. And I think I'm still learning how to do that because once I started journalism, it was one day, I'll tell you a quick story. Mm-hmm. It was one day I was in the newsroom and I heard, child died from heat exhaustion, stuck in a car. Then another one just got hit by a car on the other side of town. And I'm trying to work on my story. And then all I hear is we have, what did they said something like, we have to figure out how to separate this child death. We just had another one. So it three different child deaths. And I'm not a crier. I'm not a person, I don't show emotion in that way. I was like shaking. I was shaking and I was just like, this is too much. This is too much. And I walked in my news director's office and I was like, do we get free therapy? Can we talk to somebody? How am I supposed to deal with this? Mm-hmm. And I was new to this. I didn't go to school for journalism. So I didn't hear about all these things. And yes, I watch the news, but it's on and off. But when you're in journalism, when you're a TV reporter, it's on 24/7. People have my phone and will call me at 2:00 in the morning to tell me that there's 5-car pileup. They will tell me that their house is literally flooding right now because we're getting hit with a hurricane. They will literally call, and all of this devastation is just like, oh my goodness. And so one thing that I had to teach people, news is information, things that impact us. Mm-hmm. Stories that impact us that are negative are not the only stories that need to be told. And so I try to balance it out to bring in positive information in stories that impact people in the community. I try to bring in those types of things because if I'm just talking destruction, which we were in January, I had to throw in get ready for Super Bowl week. I had to throw in the story about, the first African-American woman that was promoted to sergeant for Fort Myers PD. I had to think about other things that are happening in this world that impacts people positively. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people don't even want to watch the news because it's always death and destruction. And I have a very vibrant personality, and that's one thing that I love about my station. They embrace my personality. And so when I am pitching these types of stories, they're allowing me to do so. They're listening to what I need also for my mental health to balance this out. Because if we're affected, what do you think people are doing to hear us? So that's one thing I love about my station. And I think we're all doing it at my station, is trying to find that balance, because news is not all negativity. Mm-mm. News is information that impacts people in direction on not even direction, but information so that you can choose the direction in which you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's supposed to be non-biased,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're supposed to be able to hear perspective.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So I need that balance, and that's what I do with my work is to have that. But once I get home, girl, I will mute that phone. I
Yes.
will mute that phone. I will look at my favorite television show, and I will lock in and just be present in what my moment is at that moment in time. I'm here. I'm watching Night Agent.
You're like, I'm gonna be mindful of it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful answer. And I love you the perspective. You know, we don't. As people interview, we're learning this side of everything. So that's what I'm talking about. So thank you for sharing that. You guys, it's now time for the Pull It Up segment. See, I know I like to write poetry, so this keeps me accountable. So here's a quote or two from one of my poems. This is my poem about vulnerability. So, my heart wants to show you its soft side, since the costume of hardness doesn't fit anymore. Can you truly tell me how you feel, so I no longer have to hold back how I feel? My words want to touch you, but they have to feel comfortable to do so. So that was something short and sweet for y'all from my poem Vulnerability. Now back to the episode. And yeah, you guys, end of the day too, solitude allows you to see your own vision more clear. So it's another thing I like about solitude too is a goal setting. Like I like to really sit with myself, map out what I want, because like I said, you can't go wrong. There's nothing wrong with telling people you're close to some of the goals you have, but some things you have to get to yourself too, between you and God. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about that vision, because only you can see that vision. I could sit here and tell someone all day, I'm going to do this, this, and this. If they don't see it, that's where that kind of doubt kind of comes in. Oh, are you sure? Oh, blah, blah. And sometimes people subconsciously don't mean to impose that. They're just they don't see the vision. So of course they're going to have questions or try to accidentally put things on it. And sometimes that's why certain things you do have to keep to yourself in certain visions. So I think that's big.
I love that you talked about vision, because vision, your sight is personal. It's with you. Your vision is supposed to be about what you see, what you feel. So you can't really expect or put that pressure on people to see what you just saw. They ain't got your eyes, right? They don't. That's not their life. And God will give you the vision. And if he gave you the vision, he will give you the people that are going to place things in your life so that you can be a part of the reality of that vision. He's not going to give you the vision and then don't give you people or resources that aren't going to help you get there. So that's just not the person. And you can't be mad that they don't get it sometimes. Sometimes you got to be like, oh, okay. But life is balance, right? So when you're in solitude and you saw what you saw, you felt what you felt, you hold on to that feeling. So even if you do open your mouth and tell somebody else, you say, you just don't see it. Don't worry about it. Moving on. We'll go to something else. Because I know that this is supposed to be a part of my life. I'm supposed to dream it and wake up and live it in real time. Like that's just what it is. Dream it, wake up, and live in it in your real time. That's how I look at it. And eventually, trust me, because people will start saying, they'll be like, dang, you were right. I know, sis. I know, bro. I know.
Just watch.
Just continue to watch. And eventually, some might fall off because, a little hateration. And then they might see a vision, and now they have to play their part that God already orchestrated before so that they could be a part of making that a reality in your life. So don't be mad. You don't gotta be mad at people when they don't understand your vision. But that's what you saw in your solitude. You go after it. If that's what you want, you go after it. And it'll happen. And I love that people are starting to see that however they journal things down, vision boards, if they got to see it every day, affirmations, I'm not putting any of those things down. If that's what you need to do, then do it. That's what you need, that reminder, so that you can stay on course, then do it. But once you are on course, there will be forces that are trying to knock you off. So continue to take a look at what you wrote down in that journal. Look at your vision board. Tap in with yourself. Maybe go for that walk and think about where you are now, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. Where you are now, where you want to go, and how are you going to get there?
And how far you came too.
And how far you came from.
Oof. Yes. Look, she out here dropping gems, y'all.
That's just real. You gotta live by something.
Yes.
And that's the discipline that you talked about earlier. Once you have discipline, it's second nature. You don't have to even ask yourself, where am I right now? Where do I want to go? How do I get there? Where did I come from? It's just natural. As soon as you tap in with yourself, you're like, okay, I'm in my career. Now I need to do branding. Because that's where I'm at. I need to be able to brand myself. So now second nature, 2 posts a day. Hard as heck.
Of doing it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh my gosh, God, give me something. You know what I'm saying? Or literally sit my butt down on the weekend and draft it out. But
there you go.
It will become second nature because I know what my dream looked like. And I know when I wake up, I'm just in the beginning phases of that reality. I'm already there. I claimed it. I'm victorious at the end of the day. God promised it to me. So I know if I wake up and I stay active, it's going to happen.
Yes.
Period.
And the work that it takes to get there. Ooh, girl, woo, you preaching today. It is time for the show up segment. So this is the show up segment. If you're out there listening, please comment on how did you show up for yourself this week. I always go back and read the comments. How did I show up for myself this week? I showed up for myself this week by action and discipline. So, I was kind of in a stagnant energy. Nothing wrong with it. We have moments where you kind of take breaks and you kind of like wandering. And then I had to get real with myself. Okay, let's put some action towards it. And, I learned even when like self-doubt or fear, all those things try to creep in, one of the things that stop it is action. And discipline. I feel like once you stand firm on what you want to, like you were saying, knowing what it takes, I'm going to do this and this, and you replace it with discipline and action, it actually pushes all that out the way because now you're stepping towards it and you're standing on what you said you're going to do. So it will silence those things. So what about you? How did you show up for yourself this week?
I showed up for myself this week. Oh my gosh. That's a good question. I think because what is it, Wednesday? Look, I'm like, what day is it?
Girl, all day
what day is it?
I've been doing it.
How did I show up for myself this week? Because it's been a hard week. It's been a very hard week. But I think I prepared myself for my stories this week because it was Super Bowl week and all those things. And so I just did extra research. Because I said, you know what, because I'm going into this branding season of like posting and doing all these things, being disciplined, I really like dove into research so that I can hit them with good questions without trying to explain the question because I want to be the best anchor, reporter, television host. I want to just come with it. And so I showed up by doing my homework, like times 10. So that when I went into any situation, I was just like ready. And then I slid in a couple of people's DMs. And I took a break from that because, sometimes you think nobody's going to say anything. And I got a response this week. So I was very happy just to get the response. And even when you get the response and maybe it's not what you want it to be, just know that now you got the response. There is a connection there. They know what you would like. So now you got eyeballs on you. So now I put myself in a hot spot because I got to be posted 2 times a day. I have to because sometimes you got to put yourself in it and just go. So that's how I showed up for myself by making sure that I was prepared. I did that the first week of freaking January, finishing my website, making sure my stuff on my Instagram was in the right order. It looked good, planning out some of my posts. And now I got to do it again for February. So yeah, that's how I showed up for myself.
I love it. Look, a lot of action too. I love that. So I love to ask all my guests a fun question. I know we're running out of time here, but I'm going to go ahead and answer you anyway. So have you ever had a funny blooper moment while being on air?
Girl.
I love how I find those.
I would send you I can send you many, many.
I love this.
But it goes with my personality
Yes.
because when I have the blooper moment, it's really what I'm feeling. I'm like somebody, I think I was in like a sandstorm in the desert
Oh.
and I'm like, it's hitting my face and it's like exfoliating my skin.
Oh.
Girl, like it was
Yeah.
ridiculous, right?
You really out
And
there. Uh-huh.
I look at that freaking segment and it was like the most viral one and I'm like,
Oh.
no.
Wait out.
Like they played it in Los Angeles.
Oh my goodness.
They played it and I'm like, it's the puff, y'all. It's the puff. At the end of the day, people recognize me from the puff. So a lady said, I saw you on my TV. And I'm like, see me? I report in the desert. She was like, no, it was a sandstorm in Palm Springs. And you were just,
And they put it on LA.
and you still, she said, and you just kept going. And I was like, you know what, ma'am? I think I did too good because they made me do that 6 more times.
Wow, but hey, you went through it. So
I
I'll give
went
you that you
through it.
didn't quit.
I did not quit, but girl, in my head, I was like, this is crazy. Like, why? Or, so I have a long name that was just happened during the hurricane, right? And I'd go by Miyoshi. That's my middle name. And people, tend to ask me all these questions. What does it mean? And where does your name come from? And all this stuff. And all I hear in my ear is, Miyoshi, you're doing the welcome. And and as soon as I was like, oh, sorry, like, so sorry, sir. I'm about to go live. And I said my whole name. My producer was like, who the heck is that? He didn't know who. I said my whole name and he was just like, but then again, I was doing so good. I love what I do. Oh, thank you, God. I love what I do. That even though I heard him say it, I just kept going. The water is coming in over the seawalls and this is what's happening on First Street. Cars are literally starting to, overflow with water and blah, blah, blah. Just really talking about the scene. I didn't even notice that I messed up until he said it again. Cause he's like, keep going. And then when I finished, after like 2.5 minutes of talking, he goes, who did you introduce yourself as? And I was like, I said my name. He was like, oh, I didn't know that was your name. Like you said like this long name. And I was like, who is that? Who is she talking about?
They're all confused the whole time. Oh my goodness.
Man, just talking in my ear while I'm trying to tell people we dealing with aftermath of hurricane.
Oh, see the behind the scenes stuff. I love to hear it. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, please send me those clips.
Give us some grace. Give us some grace.
Y'all do good work. It's now time for the wrap-up segment. And be able to love ourselves during the solitude. Like she said, put the action in. Take care of yourself in those moments of solitude. Listen to yourself during solitude. All of that is self-love. So before we go, what's a quick way you practice self-love?
Self-love?
Yes.
Oh, I go to the spa.
That one.
Off top, you said quick one. I go to the spa. Love it. One of my friends introduced it to me and I was like, this is one of those expensive things, but sometimes pay for what you need.
We deserve it.
We deserve it. We work hard. Yep. That's just what it is. The spa and Pilates.
Oh,
I love my Pilates.
Great answers. And actually, I went to a nude spa for my birthday and amazing. I'm like, you know what? We're going to add this to the routine. So shout out.
That's a different level of confidence. Oh, Lord.
Look, skin is soft though.
Okay.
So yeah, okay, that was a good one. And last question I love to ask all my guests, what do you want to be remembered for?
Just my authenticity. Just being accessible and having that connectivity vibe where it's like, you know what? Miyoshi she's doing her TV thing, whatever, but she's an open ear when I'm in her presence. And that's one thing I'm going to say, if y'all with your family and your friends, put your phone to the side. Be present, actually ask questions, and listen for the answer. When people are like, yeah, dang. Oh, like don't nobody want to talk to you anymore because they know you're not listening.
Mm-hmm.
Like actively listen and be present.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my answer to that.
Love it, love it. And remember, y'all, it's okay to be in your solitude. Cherish and embrace it. Okay, that's the lesson that we're talking. I wanted to debunk that. I know there's a lot going on in the world right now. And, a lot of our goals have been shaken up and things like that. Remember to tap in with yourself, tap in with God, figure out what it is that you really need and how you want to move forward.
Yeah.
I love you guys. I appreciate y'all tapping into this amazing episode. But Miyoshi, before we go, can you shout your information out? Where can people find you and tap in with you?
Oh man.
You?
At I am Miyoshi on pretty much everything and MiyoshiPrice.com. Send me a message. I actually look at the emails that are sent to me. If you DM me, but like comment on my page or something. Say like I DM'd you, because now with what I'm doing, I do get a lot, but I try my best to like comment back to people when they comment as best as I can. So I tend to see them before I see the DMs. But I am Miyoshi. You can find me Miyoshi Price on Facebook, MiyoshiPrice.com. You'll be able to find me.
Love it, love it. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for dropping gems. This was such an amazing, inspiring episode. And it was just great. I just can't wait to release this so everybody can see.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yes, likewise. So you guys, make sure y'all tap in. I love you guys. Make sure y'all follow SpeakUpJV at SpeakUpJV on Instagram, X. My personal is at Vernisa. I will be back next Thursday with another amazing episode. Tell your friends to like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure y'all tap in. Love you guys. Bye.